Welcome back to another episode of Emergency Response Liberty County. Today's video is going to be a little bit different, and it should not be mistaken for 10 things I hate about ERLC or top 10 predictions coming to ERLC. Instead, I will be focusing on the top 10 things that we need or need to have changed in ERLC immediately. And before I begin, for those of you that like to run to the PRC Dizzy and think I'm talking trash, stop. I'm not. I love the game. I appreciate the game. This is just my top 10 things I wish would be improved upon sooner versus later. Let's get into it, beginning with number 10 and working our way to number 1, the housing track. Long has been my gripe with the amount of money that is required to rent out a house. More recently, I've also picked at the fact that you're limited to only a handful of hours before you no longer have access to the house you just rented. In addition to changing this, and perhaps even making home ownership a real thing in Liberty County, it would also be great to see some functionality come to the houses. Simple things like the ability to turn on and turn off lights, close doors, store and buy food, and maybe even have access to a laptop from which you can buy tools and weapons. I don't know. And for those of you that are going to say, Zany, this isn't Bloxburg, well, it also isn't Taxi Boss, Greenville, nor a farming game, yet we still have those jobs, and for some reason or another, that made sense to be included in ERLC, so don't hate me too much. The ninth thing we need is ongoing weather effects. Yes, I am finally giving in, boys and girls. For a little while, I was opposed to this idea, arguing that it would slow the game down or that it would be an unnecessary hurdle for the developers, but after some more romancing, I've decided that I'm in agreement that we need some kind of weather in ERLC. We already get gloom and snow in the winter months, and we even get more vibrant colors during the spring months, so why not make this a permanent thing whereby we can use the weather to enrich our roleplay? Just a thought. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. At number 8 is cars. We need more cars in emergency response Liberty County, and perhaps not more cars, we really just need a revamped list of cars. With the exception of appearance improvements and overall aesthetics, the list of cars that we have today is pretty darn near identical to the list of cars we had since the start of time. Yes, I know that there's been some additions over the last year or so, but please understand that the point here is that we've never really received a full list overhaul. Show me some Teslas, some Rivians, some Coupes, some convertibles, give us more exotics, give us the opportunity to stand out from other players. Even if this comes in the form of a game pass, believe me, I will buy it. How do you guys feel about the current list of vehicles? And speaking of vehicles, the 7th thing we need to change in ERLC immediately is the vehicle handling and mechanics. I don't know about you guys, but in other games, the handling of vehicles seems appropriate for the size and the vehicle type, the handling is responsive, and the steering is a little bit more accurate. In Emergency Response Liberty County, however, vehicle handling can be very tight. The bigger vehicles feel overly heavy, and although I can see how they've tried to mimic a real-life experience, perhaps it has been overdone a little too much. Let's also talk about stopping and braking while driving. Am I the only one that feels it's impossible to stop or brake on time? If this were to be addressed, I think it would result in a better driving experience, and we would see a heck of a lot less vehicle accidents that we see all over ERLC, and you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Vehicles flying across the map, vehicles being launched halfway down the street, vehicles being flipped, and the list goes on and on. All because the handling is not finely tuned, if you ask me. You get the point. I hope to see better vehicle handling very, very soon. And you know, speaking of mechanics, this is a good segue into the weapons, because the 6th thing I feel needs to be changed in ERLC immediately is exactly what I just said. The weapons mechanics. I think we can all agree that the recoil in the vast majority of these weapons is excessive and unnecessary. It appears to me that in an attempt to create a realistic experience, the management and firing of any weapon system has been completely overdone and therefore still sits in the realm of not being realistic.
Zany, chill bro, it's just a game.
No bro, ERLC is life, and I want my weapons mechanics changed immediately. Okay, but for real, I've been saying this for a long time. The weapons mechanics still need some serious love in ERLC. The 5th thing I want to see changed in Liberty County immediately is peer-to-peer giving and exchanging. By now, I'm sure we've all noticed a little backpack, and I'm sure that by now we all know how the new Mafia system works, where the leader can determine how much each Mafia member will net on their robberies. This is the perfect opportunity to give us a peer-to-peer system. I would love to give fans of the channel money, cars, tools, or even just random items if those ever come to the game. I can see why this is not a thing in ERLC right now, and that's simply because there's not enough meat on the bone. Think about it. If a peer-to-peer system came to ERLC today, what would we exchange? Cars and money? And that's probably about it, because tools are not nearly expensive enough to barter for. So with this in mind, let's jump into number 4. The fourth thing that needs to come to ERLC immediately is civilian items. And no, I'm not talking about melee weapons and RFID disruptors and drills. I'm talking about boost, stamina, and health. All of the things that can give us an edge on the game. If you've been here for a while, you know that this has been on my list for a very long time. In fact, I want this to come to ERLC so bad that I am willing to sacrifice the farmer job, the news reporter job, and the taxi cab driver job, all in exchange for consumable items in the game. And developers, if you're watching this, because I know you are, let's consider the microeconomics of this. If you make health boost and stamina boost available for purchase at the convenience store, even just for 5 Robux each, or a pack of 5 boosts for 25 Robux, you will begin to see another steady stream of revenue. Because I promise you, not everyone knows about the stamina refill button on the left-hand corner for 12 Robux, and even if they do, it is not the same experience as drinking a Red Bull or having a pack of drinks in the game. Think about it, you guys. The opportunity is definitely there. The third thing I want to see come to emergency response Liberty County is hideouts, and perhaps we can even call this more building interiors. All of you know that I'm a big fan of the bunker, I'm a big fan of the caves, and I'm an advocate that water and waterfalls are a refuge in the game. But with the exception of the caves, the bunker and the river have also been there since the start of time. I want to be able to use secret entrances, I want to be able to go underground somewhere, and I want to know that there's a place on the map where cops and the helicopter really have to look hard to find me. At the time of me filming this, it doesn't matter where on the map you're at, the helicopter has the ability to follow you and find you almost everywhere. I want real hideouts, and I dare say that this is something I would also pay money for. Almost wrapping up the list here at number 2, something we've already seen an introduction to, that is artificial intelligence, AI, but we're gonna call this more and improved callouts. I'm perhaps the biggest fan of the new EMS AI callouts. The new update brought a new level of gameplay to ERLC, and it finally made me feel like I do not need to depend on other players to have a good gaming session. However, we need to see this come to the law enforcement team. If you guys have noticed, the law enforcement team is the only major team that has not received any kind of AI support. The Department of Transportation team already has them in the form of streetlight outages, downed trees, and abandoned vehicles, and more recently, the EMS team received them in the form of patients with a variety of injuries. So when will AI callouts arrive for the law enforcement team? I personally suspect summertime, if not early fall. In either case, I will be really surprised if we do not see any kind of law enforcement revamp by the end of 2022. Let's wrap up the list here, Zanies. I feel like this has been a juicy one, but the one thing I would change and bring to ERLC today is the ability to jailbreak and break out of handcuffs. I think I've also briefly talked about this, and this doesn't need to be anything fancy. It can be something as simple as a cop forgetting to search you, not suspecting that you might have a lockpick, sending you off to jail, you pulling out the lockpick, going into a quick mini game, and if you pass, you're out of jail and a wanted fugitive, and if you fail, you get caught and your stay in jail is prolonged. Similarly, once a cop puts you in handcuffs, you have a very limited amount of time to try to break out of cuffs, and if you succeed, you can begin a run, and if you don't, you automatically get sent to jail with a 5-minute cooldown period. I am telling you, this really doesn't even need to be anything major. Something simple can encourage more robberies and activity among civilian players. Wow, boys and girls, let me know if you agree or disagree down in the comments below. Also, let me know the top 3 things you would change in ERLC immediately if given the opportunity. If there's other lists you want me to make, let me know that as well. But for now, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, long live the Zanies.